The reactions to the Trump shooting have been insane. The establishment media scrambled to try and hide the fact that Trump had been shot like we wouldn't find out, and even blamed Trump for it happening. And the left showed their kindness and tolerance by celebrating the attack and by spreading raving conspiracy theories. That's right, the left are the conspiracy theorists now, but I can kind of understand that, as the shooting boosted Trump's election chances by really showcasing the physical differences between him and Biden. Man, never mind shooting him, if Joe Biden got bundled to the ground like that, it would kill him. You could assassinate Biden by waking him up before 10 AM. Trump gets shot in the head and jumps up punching the air and playing the solo from Freebird. I've got all the craziest reactions from the left, but first let's look at how DEI nearly caused Trump to DIE, as his 5'3" diversity hire girl boss bodyguards hid behind him and fumbled their weapons, and Biden used it as another opportunity to fumble his words.
But in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. You know, that's how we do it, at the battle box.
Some people on the right claim that this must be an organised assassination attempt, but I doubt that very much. We know that Hillary didn't order it, because if she did, Trump would be dead. And we know that Biden didn't order it, because if he did, Kamala would be dead. Also, if the Democrats did organise an assassination, it would probably be for Joe Biden, who's much more of a threat to them staying in power than Trump is. It seems much more likely that the poor functioning of the Secret Service is down to the mad rush for diversity, equity and inclusion that has gripped all organisations, where competent, stale, pale male job candidates are passed over in favour of forced diversity. And you end up with female Secret Service agents literally unable to holster their guns. Take a look at this. This is like a Netflix adaptation of the Secret Service, with Melissa McCarthy as a receptionist who accidentally ends up working as a presidential bodyguard. Here she goes, she's got the gun out, she tries to holster it, oh, can't quite get it in, tries to style it out, then tries to holster it again. Can she get it? Oh, she manages to get it in on the 18th attempt. Look at them all flapping around, running into each other. Man, this isn't the Secret Service. This is the Secret Cervix. They're more like a sassy service than a Secret Service, or they hide behind the president when they should be taking a bullet for him. This must be that toxic masculinity I hear so much about. Or they get caught in seatbelts with guns they aren't strong enough to carry. Donald Trump is 6'2", but they had women a foot shorter than him to stop bullets. I guess his kneecaps were saved. I mean, if you are going to do diversity hires for a job like this, at least get one of those massive basketball players. The memes have been brutal. Here she is washing the dishes. Here's an explanation of the gender pay gap. And here's feminists in the movies versus feminists in reality. This weakening of competence isn't accidental. The Secret Service have a generic Karen as the boss, Kimberly Cheetle, who came from being an exec at PepsiCo and bragged about implementing a diversity program in the Secret Service with an aim of getting 30% female recruits.
To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030.
I'm very conscious as I sit in this chair now of making sure that we need to attract diverse candidates and ensure that we are developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce, and particularly women.
That workforce will be pivotal for the 2024 campaign season, which for the first time includes a former president who already has lifetime protection.
But we will always ensure the safety of all of our protectees that we have.
The service has a zero-fail mission.
I mean, hey, I know it's bad that Trump got shot, but it's great to see so much diversity and inclusion in the Secret Service. It's great that girls have a strong, sassy girl boss to look up to who don't need no man. Well, don't need no man unless someone appears and starts shooting. Then they very much need a man, as this transcript of the conversations between agents shows. Female agent, what are we doing? What are we doing? Where are we going? Gunshot, then woman screams.
Gen Z boss and a mini, Gen Z boss and a mini, itty bitty titties and a bulb, itty bitty titties and a bulb, 5'3" and an attitude, 5'3" and an attitude.
5'3" with a gun I can't holster, 5'3" with a gun I can't holster. In many ways, diversity is more important than basic competence in keeping people alive. Although it's worth noting that after the shooting, Trump's security detail didn't have a single chubby 5'3" woman protecting him. Look at that, it's all big solid blokes. So no, I don't think that this was an inside job. This is just the incompetence that stems from the end of meritocracy. I mean, unless the assassin was also a diversity hire, maybe things are just so bad that you can't put up an ad for a hitman anymore. You've got to prioritise hiring a trans-identifying neurodivergent hit person. The Secret Service really dropped the ball here. They reportedly didn't have surveillance or men on the rooftop used by the shooter, despite it being an obvious vantage point, and local law enforcement ignored warnings from at least one member of the public interviewed by the BBC.
Probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, but we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle.
A rifle.
We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service?
We were telling the police. We were pointing at him for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? This is not a big place.
Some on the right have said that this points to an order from on high for the Secret Service to stand back and not protect Trump. I can understand this line of thought. There is some precedent for this. In April, Democrats tried to remove Secret Service protection from Trump, presumably to make it easier for assassins to kill him. And Democrats have denied repeated requests for more protection for Trump, which, in retrospect, looks pretty terrible. Mainstream news headlines were insane as the left scrambled to minimise the shooting, in the same way they told us about the fiery but mostly peaceful BLM riots. Looking at headlines, you wouldn't know that there had been an attempted assassination at all. Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after he falls at rally. Like they want us to think, look, Trump had a fall, he's old as well. Imagine if other assassinations were covered in the same way. JFK falls really hard in Dallas. There was also Trump injured in incident at rally. Just an incident. Reminds me of when someone chucked cement at Farage and the left reported it as violence at far-right rally. There was also Trump's speech interrupted by Secret Service, like a bodyguard disagreed with a point he made and just had to stop him. Then there were the headlines that mentioned the noise, but not what was causing the noise. Trump rushed off stage at rally as bangs heard. Trump escorted away after loud noises. Or my favourite, Trump rushed off stage after loud pops. Like he farted so hard his head started bleeding. I'm really impressed with the chutzpah of these headlines. Like we wouldn't find out what actually happened. We'd just close the newspaper thinking, well, Trump just had a fall for no reason and go about our day. It really blows my mind. Sorry, I should probably use a different phrase given the circumstances. And after the attempts to obfuscate what had happened, the left-wing media swung into action to blame Trump. Sky News led with, nothing justifies an assassination bid, but did Trump play a part in it? Which as headlines go is very much, nothing justifies a rape, but how short was that skirt? And left-wing media criticised a man who'd just been shot in the head for saying fight.
After he was hit, former President Trump got up and said, fight, fight, fight. I think what we're hearing from people is that's not the message that we want to be sending right now. We want to tamp it down.
And British journalist John Sopel also said that Trump's words were an incitement to violence. Never mind the violence that actually happened.
But seeing him mouth the words fight, fight, fight to his supporters. Now, of course, fight is a metaphor. I'm sure Gareth Southgate will be telling the boys they've got to fight tonight when they go on the pitch against Spain. But for others, it's an invitation. And we saw that on January the 6th. If you tell people to fight in America, there is a fair chance that some of them will.
Although John himself used the same language praising Biden for taking the fight to Donald Trump. And it's worth noting that Sopel hadn't just been shot in the head when he said this. Also, if John Sopel is right and Trump shouting fight was a calculated political message, surely that just makes Trump look amazing for getting shot in the head and in the few seconds he's lying bleeding on the ground, coming up with a calculated political point. And of course the left couldn't help but be racist. Forbes ran this headline from diversity expert Sean Harper. LARPer saying, "Will surviving gunfire be Donald Trump's next appeal to black voters?" I mean, it might be true, but it's pretty racist. And the left's biggest concern was retaliatory violence.
And then the biggest threat that officials are telling me tonight is in the form of retaliatory violence.
Sam, you're taking me to exactly what I've been underscoring and is frankly very concerning in the rhetoric we are seeing at this hour already.
This incident did not bring out the kindness and tolerance that the left brag about possessing. Leftist presenter Sebastian Holtz of the German public broadcaster ARD celebrated the assassination attempt on Donald Trump in a now deleted post. He was fired. Biden announced that he was halting all outbound communications, which sounds polite and respectful, until you realise he was halting attack ads calling Trump Hitler. And Biden also said this.
But in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. You know, that's how we do it, at the battle box, not with bullets. So tonight, I'm asking every American to recommit, to make America, think about it.
What on earth is a battle box? Is this some Mad Max thing? Are we doing away with elections and just letting candidates fight it out in a box? If so, I think Trump's going to win. Obama called for civility in politics. Yeah, let's have a look at some of the civility that the current Democrat administration has brought to politics. Leading left-wing voice Destiny took a break from pretending that he's okay with his wife getting rattled by other men to mock the Trump supporter in the audience who died protecting his family. A staff member for Democrat Congressman Benny Thompson posted this as well. "Please get you some shooting lessons so you don't miss next time. Oops, that wasn't me talking," which not only reveals the attitudes inside the Democrat echo chamber, but also reveals the level of grammar considered acceptable on the left. Remember the late great comedian Norm Macdonald's iconic tweet? "What terrifies me is if ISIS were to detonate a nuclear device and kill 50 million Americans, imagine the backlash against peaceful Muslims." Well, left-wing activist Dr. Shola did that tweet for real, saying, "I hope the shooter is not black, brown and/or Muslim, immigrant, etc. We really don't need Trump weaponizing this shooting as a collective punishment to cause real threat to the life and liberty of those whose existence he has dehumanized with hate for political gain." Yeah, let's not forget the real victims, Dr. Shola, the people who weren't shot. Left-wing grifter and smooth-brained Hitler LARPer Tan Smith posted, "The orange rapist has reportedly been shot at one of his hate rallies tonight. Oh dear, how sad. Anyway, bit nippy tonight, isn't it?" And she's right, it is very cold for July, although we'll undoubtedly be informed by climate scientists that it is in fact the hottest July in recorded history and the world is burning. Owen Jones retweeted some bollocks about a genocide in Gaza to minimise the political violence against Trump, although it's worth noting that when Owen Jones was the victim of political violence, someone kicked him in the bum, he cried and went to the police. You'd think he'd show a bit of solidarity with Trump. In fact, you'd think left-wing people would have shown more of the compassion that they tell us they have a monopoly on, particularly as a man in the audience was sadly killed, a former firefighter who threw his body over his family to protect them. And not to cast aspersions on leftists, but it's interesting that shooting into the Trump crowd killed a good man, a former firefighter and family man who died defending his family. But when Kyle Rittenhouse shot 3 random leftists, he shot a convicted paedophile, a man who'd been in jail for attacking a woman, and a grown man who owns a skateboard. But a sizable chunk of the Democrats support political violence. 10% of Americans, so around a quarter of Democrats, responded in a survey that they support violence to stop Trump's re-election. And what was really noticeable was how the left became raging conspiracy theorists. They jumped on the possibility that Trump had somehow staged this to improve his election chances, or worse. Biden's former cybersecurity expert Jackie Singh posted, "This is a distraction from the Epstein files and Project 2025, an attempt to further anger his base and a new way to attack leftists." But Trump was already ahead in the polls. You think he'd try and cement his lead by hiring a weird 20-year-old guy to shoot him in the ear from 400 feet away? Of course, the difference between left-wing and right-wing conspiracy theories is that right-wing conspiracy theories come true about 2 weeks later, while left-wing conspiracy theories are absolute premenstrual emotional train wrecks. Tucker Carlson was slammed as spreading baseless far-right conspiracy theories when he suggested that there could be an attempted assassination of Trump. Remember when Alex Jones was sued for billions for conspiracy theories about the Sandy Hook school shooting? Well, I assume the same rules will apply to all the lefties spreading conspiracy theories about the Trump shooting. But the left are everything they accuse others of. Remember when AOC and other leftoids got their fannies in a froth over the term stochastic terrorism? They claimed that right-wing commentators and politicians would publicly demonise a person or group which would make violence against them statistically more likely, but couldn't be specifically blamed on any of the people inciting it? AOC said, let's be very clear, intimidation and stochastic terror are the core tools of Trump and the fascist movements that support him. Well, they've spent a long time demonising Trump themselves. Look at this montage.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
Or this one.
Of course, it's Trump is a Nazi time again.
Let's deal with Hitler, okay?
I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that. I mean, that is Mussolini, Hitler-like language.
Trump's affinity for Hitler was always covered under an umbrella of his stupidity.
Echoing Hitler's words.
Listen to this.
Well, Hitler was duly elected.
That's right. Echoing the hateful rhetoric of Adolf Hitler.
It echoes Hitler.
That's the kind of language Hitler used in Mein Kampf.
About vermin and Hitler and Mussolini.
That's a horrifying clip. That's a fascist clip.
Just going full on Hitler.
From Hitler's Germany.
We just need to say, for the record, that the term vermin was really effectively used by Adolf Hitler.
Echo dictators like Hitler.
With language evoking authoritarian figures like Adolf Hitler.
Donald Trump parroted the autocratic language of Adolf Hitler.
Talk about the brilliance of Hitler's generals.
Correct.
General Kelly, yeah.
And those on the left who commit violence tend to be protected by the establishment. While the January 6th protesters were being given the maximum sentences possible, the Democrats incredibly even gave some Antifa and the BLM rioters compensation for being arrested. And what about the shooter? Interestingly, this was one shooting that didn't result in Democrats demanding more gun control. Could this be because guns are now helping them? And getting behind the nonsense, what is the truth about the world's least successful assassin? Now, I don't know who the Trump shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks is, but I do know who he's descended from. Despite left-wing headlines clinging on to the fact that the shooter was a registered Republican, he donated to Democrats more recently, so obviously wasn't just a disgruntled red voter angry that Nikki Haley didn't win the nomination. The Democrats weren't the only socially corrosive organisation he donated to. He was also a subscriber to OnlyFans, according to a screenshot shared by one of their models, who calls herself Cutie Snack, although appears to be more of an all-you-can-eat buffet than a snack. And what about a motive? Well, the FBI are taking a long time to pick through his devices to find a motive. Apparently had no social media footprint. Yeah, right. But this is the same FBI who previously colluded with the Democrat Party to try and swing an election when they buried the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. So if the answer makes the Democrats look bad, don't expect them to find it until after the election. According to a former classmate, the shooter was bullied relentlessly.
He was bullied almost every day.
In what way? Can you explain?
I mean, he would sit alone at lunch. I mean, he was just an outcast, and you know how kids are nowadays, so they're gonna see someone like that and they're gonna target him because they think it's funny or whatever. So it's the best way I can describe it. And it's honestly kind of sad. Like, I don't want to say this is what provoked it, but you never know.
Yeah. You said he was a loner?
Yeah. I want to say he was a loner more because he was quiet, but like he was just bullied. Like he was bullied so much.
This was high school.
Yeah.
What did they, do you remember at all what they said to him or called him?
No. He was just made fun of, I guess, for the way he dressed or his appearance.
Some people have said that this bullying turned him into a psycho. No, this proves that bullies have an innate ability to sniff out psychos. We should be arming bullies so they can finish the job properly. But also, you've got to respect the balls in anyone willing to bully a skinny white dude in a country with easy access to guns. I think it's pretty obvious that this shooter was just the point of convergence for all the left-wing hysteria over Trump being a fascist, when in reality Trump is just going to slow the descent into communism. When people on the left say they want to kill Trump, he's just a cipher for everyone who doesn't fall in line behind the left's vicious ideologies. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to buy me a beer, there are links below, and if you want to support me making these videos and see the full version of this video, then please sign up to my Patreon. There are links below. Okay, thanks for listening. Stay safe and stay skeptical, and please have babies and defend Western liberal democracy. Okay, I've been Leo Kears. Bye. Love you lots. Bye bye.